What we doing here? Where you from? It's Matres.
Hello, my name is Zed, and today I'm talking about the problem with feminism. And the problem with feminism is, I don't know, who would I be to say that what the problem with feminism is? There's a lot of people who do have an opinion on the subject, so, modern day feminism is too interested in the first world problems. Instead, they should be focused on, problems within the third world. I mean, okay, that's not the worst point, but is that a problem for feminism? A problem with feminism? Or is that yet another problem that has been clearly allowed to happen and has tradition that backs this idea that some feminist eventually has to go and take care of for us? Because that's what it seems like they're saying, as opposed to feminism is the idea that they're trying to attain economic, social, and political equality among the sexes. Which, yeah, if that involves talking about how advertisements done to sell sexually or to demean the female form, that's somehow not important because somewhere in a different part of the world, a different different nation of women don't have the ability to vote. Well, I mean, yes, both are important, but the idea is that we also have to fix things here. That way we can be a good example for other places. But sure, if you think that that problem, across the world is an issue, then let's help feminists to get their job done here. That way they have the opportunity to focus elsewhere. Then we can start spreading this American understanding of feminism. But, yeah, it's goofy. I know. And I probably shouldn't have an opinion on the whole subject. But I do, and I'm okay with sharing it. I don't mind. I consider myself to be a feminist, that I believe in the equality of the sexes. I think my belief in the equality of the sexes is slightly different than other people's, though. Especially those who are, anti-feminist. Where I don't think the equality of the sexes should be attained by men granting women the ability to be equal, which unfortunately is the way it's been so far. That this is a man's world. And so for a woman to have equal rights, she has to ask a man for those rights. Has to convince him that it is okay to give up those rights for women. And feminism's done a great job in doing that. They've chipped away at the idea of the man's world to the point where we're so close in America to being equal. So that people can say, oh, the problem with feminism is, they've basically completed their job. They need to go elsewhere and do this for everybody else. I believe that women are equal, not because men say they're equal, but because women are equal. If I had to choose if there was a superior sex, I would say that the female sex is the superior sex. So, if anything, it should be a woman's world where men are asking to be equal. But something tells me that if it was a woman's world, they wouldn't need to ask. Weird. That's not the situation we're in. We're in a situation where we've been convinced that this is a man's world. That women do have to ask and beg and plead to be considered equal. And where did we get the idea that this is a man's world? In my personal opinion, the story of Genesis. The story that is the origin story of all. It tells us where the universe came from, where the earth came from. The hierarchy of established responsibilities. Where a man, or there's a male god, men, women, animals and stuff like that. But at the head of a woman is her husband. At the head of the husband is the Lord. And that's the correct hierarchy. So always below women, or always below men, will be women. which is why women have had to fight for the ability to be considered equal. They're fighting against this origin story, the one that tells us that this is a man's world where a male god created it and handed it over to men. So, if women want a fair share or a fair shake in this whole ordeal, they need to beg for it from the men who are given responsibility. And this is the problem. It is my personal opinion that the story of Genesis is not correct. That it is... Trigger warning. I'm about to say some things about religion. If you are not in the mood or in the place right now in your day life to hear somebody say not so nice things about religion, please excuse yourself. Come back when you are. It is my belief that you cannot get a male without there first being a female. I myself have had problems with religion, and I have gone on my own personal search to try and understand what we're doing here. What's our purpose? Where did we come from? Where do we go when we die? And all of those brought me to the mother's creative ability. It's where I come from, but it's also where I believe everything comes from in this universe. That everything Genesis takes credit or gives credit to a male god for creating was created by that very same ability. An ability that's passed down from mother to daughter throughout time, that we could trace from where we are now all the way back to the beginning. What is this gift? Summed up quickly, it's the ability to take something from outside into yourself, to use your energy and give a part of yourself to create something new. Something that has the ability to do the same thing you just did once it reaches maturity. So, it's the same thing we see when a tree makes a seed. The sapling grows and it develops, it gets to maturity. It too has the ability to take stuff into itself, to use its energy and give a part of itself to create the new seeds. Pardon me. And yeah, that is the act of creation. It is a creative ability that, again, we can trace all the way back through life to before life existed. Because where does all this, the molecular matter come from? The suns, which have this uncanny ability to take something into itself, use its energy and give a part of itself, and put something else into the world that has the ability to continue to do the same. But we have a story that men created thousands of years ago that tells us that no, that creative ability that females have, that motherly gift of creation, what is the source of all things, should be viewed as a punishment, should be viewed as something that after the men created everything and named everything and basically had everything situated and ready to go, then woman was made from man, meaning that had he not existed, she wouldn't exist. She was made in the form of him, who was made in the form of he, or him with a capital H. But where is God's mom? Who created him? Well, some religions say that God was, both male and female. Okay. Well, then Adam would be made in his image and be hermaphrodite? And it was only once he got his rib removed that he suddenly became non-hermaphroditic? They had their sexual organs before Eve sinned, because as soon as they ate from the apple, they knew to cover up. What were they covering up? Was it breasts and a vagina, a penis? The sexual organs that allow us to recreate, human beings now? The ability for a man to access the woman's creative ability so that she can use the gift of motherly creation to let humanity continue? Oh. So are we saying that God made a mistake and Adam was actually a woman and that God was actually a woman? Because that would make sense. That would be a story that is believable. Because a woman creating a woman, well, that's possible. A woman then giving rise to a male form, that's also possible. That's believable. But if Genesis is supposed to explain the world in which we exist, give us the origin story of this reality, of our species, I would say it's done a very poor job. It almost seems like it's a manipulation that was put in place. But why would someone put a manipulation in place to say that men were at the head of the social, the natural, and all sorts of order? Men. Men. Men who realize that that creative ability, the same one that a sun has, which is why it is at the center of the solar system. Everything else in the solar system revolves around that amazing ability. In the natural world, animals revolve around that creative ability. They'll migrate all the way across the world as a whale. They'll fight to the death for the opportunity to use their genetic information to allow the female form to create for the next generation. But because of this origin story that we were all given, that was originally forced on us, but now was passed down as a tradition, we believe that this is a man's world. That a woman asking for equality is basically kind of a ridiculous idea, because men and women can't truly be equal. Men are naturally superior. We're stronger. We have a penis, and that means that we get to penetrate something. That makes us better. Yep, we're stronger because we don't need the ability to create. We're not the continuation of the species. We instead get a little sample from our mothers to be able to go around, unlike asexual species, which just duplicate themselves. Now, a duplication process can provide either the creative version or the little bit of genetics holding version, female or male. I was born a male, so I hold a little bit of genetic information from my mom. Now I can travel around to other females, someone with a different set of genetic information, and combine what I have with her so that she can do that amazing creative process. Create new life. But this story tells us that no. Women need to procreate or need to create babies because that's their job. If anything, that's a punishment for their original sin. That pain that they go through, yeah, they deserve that. That's not at all a byproduct of being the source of all things. The period where she's shunting her uterine lining and having this gross and thick blood come out of there, ugh, that's unpure. Boo, go away, get out of this village. You know, you're going to attract bears or something like that. Instead, we should view it as an amazing body's ability to shed what was old, to ensure that if that woman chooses, she can now take in somebody's sperm and create life. She has the perfect spot to create life. A gift that was handed to her by her mother, that was handed to her mother by her grandmother, that goes all the way back to the very beginning. The source of all things. But this origin story has kept women down, ensured that they didn't get to have a say, that this world in which women are responsible for creating every single aspect, that they have no say in what happens. The babies you create using that godly gift, the thing that's closest to any godly power, we're going to let you do that, but then we take what you create and it becomes ours. It is now a part of the man's world. You will create babies for this man world. You are just an incubation unit. Men will own you. You will pop out their babies. Those babies will be used in the man's world as the men see fit. You don't have a say. You don't have a vote. Don't you dare speak back to your husband. He can beat you, and that's fine. That's legal. That's okay. This world you created, you are nothing except the source of all things. the thing closest to godliness, the thing that this story of a male God has ensured that women were not recognized for this creative ability, for all that they have given to us. This existence is a gift that mothers gave to us, and yet they are the ones who are least able to enjoy it because of a fucking story. So I'll tell you what the problem with feminism is. The problem with feminism is it has to fight the origin story of almost all people in the realm of its influence. I get that it's not the influence story in lots of Asia, Southeast Asia. India's in Asia, in case you know. And it's tearing us apart, Lisa. Really, though, it is. I consider myself fortunate because I was raised by a single mother. I have so many strong women in my life. My wife right now is the only reason that I am here. I would have given up long ago. But somebody cared enough. Somebody showed me love and took me under their wing and ensured that I had the opportunity to basically lick my own wounds and get to where I am today. Women are a gift to all of us. This existence is a gift from mothers. But for some reason, we're not allowed to see that. We're not allowed to appreciate that. Instead, we have to do as those who are in that hierarchy tell us. And it's the source of racism. It's the source of anti-LGBTQIA plus, hatred or discrimination. Anything that says anything outside of that norm where it's a man's world and everybody has their frickin' place. Play your role. It all comes from that one story. So, in a perfect world, there would be a way that we could take those who are active in feminism, and those who are active in Black Lives Matter, and those who are active in all these social and civil justice organizations, and pull our weight together. Because in the end, I believe we're all fighting the same force. And suddenly it turns from this huge mountain, this impossible thing that stands in your way. And with all of us there, we can each grab a couple handfuls of dirt, and that mountain becomes flat. Suddenly, that issue goes. We have the ability to progress, to develop in the way that we were supposed to, in the way that is the purpose of us here on this planet, in this universe, to do the same thing that everything else does, given the opportunity to exist, to grow, to develop, to advance, to progress. It is an opportunity for us to become the best versions of ourselves, so that we can offer that best versions of ourselves to our children, who will become better than us by becoming the best versions of themselves. Continuing on. But something's holding us back. And I think we all know what that is. So, man, I hope we can pull together. This is a channel I have here to have this discussion. If you have an opinion, please write in, leave a comment. My hope is to eventually open this up to be a full-on forum, Greek and Roman style, where we get to come together and just talk, where we get to pool the best of what we have together so that we can have the best that we have to offer. So, my name is Zed. This is Matres. Thank you for your time.
Where you from? Matres.